All right, as you know, it's Tuesday. So what happens on Tuesdays? Old Chris Michaels. He comes to you live as always because this is what I do. This is something that started up between Greg Bolden and me, and this is something that I enjoy doing. It's almost always improv without any show prep. And as you know, there's something very, very dastardly going on, in my opinion, down in the Caribbean, whether we're talking about the Monroe Doctrine 2.0 with the new Trump administration, or we are engaging in some kind of nefarious activity, dare I say, with weather manipulation. So let us dive right into it. If you don't know me, old Chris Michaels, radio veteran, terrestrial radio veteran, been doing this for a long time. But I like to start a little bit more lighthearted, if you will. I don't necessarily dive into the story immediately, and I will say this. Joseph Biden's presidency, as we know right now, is completely illegitimate. They are looking into the auto pen situation. Why would they be looking into the auto pen situation? What happened here? We found out that basically within a fortnight of getting into the Oval Office, Joseph Biden was an invalid, mind you. He was not aware of what he was doing at all. So they may have been using an auto pen, somebody in the staff, signing all the documents way before anybody knew about it in the public sphere. So what does this mean? It potentially means that everything that Joseph Biden has signed his name to is completely invalid. It is not going to work ever, and it all could be undone. The U.S. House Oversight Committee has declared all executive actions by Joe Biden, including pardons, null and void if they were executed by White House staff and signed with an auto pen. Yes, this is something that I've been bringing up since the auto pen story first reared its ugly, decrepit head. This means that the Biden administration basically committed fraud upon the American public, if not the rest of the world, especially when it comes to situations like we see in the eastern Ukraine, also what we see in Israel. This degenerate and this rogue administration under the Biden regime is guilty of countless crimes because of this auto pen scandal. We can clearly unring this awful bell that we've been forced to endure during those awful 4 years under Joseph Biden. Now, I'm moving along into something else because under the Biden administration, we also saw unprecedented amounts of geoengineering. I've been talking about chemtrails and geoengineering. Oops, there goes the visibility. For 20 some odd years. Yes, 2 decades plus. And nobody would believe me. They would just say, oh, that's just contrails coming from airplanes. Yes, of course, it's just contrails. Don't anybody ever tell you different. I've seen plenty of planes in my time, and I know a contrail when I see it. And it was up to me to look these people dead in the eye and say, bull feathers, that's not a contrail. Contrails end after the plane within a reasonable distance. These things that I've been seeing, they come into the sky, they sit there, there are lines and grids all over the place. And even now, I have boomers, yes, the boomer generation, they have finally come around and said Chris Michaels is correct. So you know that if that happens, we have reached a turning point. So what does this stuff do? At least me in New York, I observe it with my own eyeballs. And what do I see? I see completely whited out skies. Nothing. No contours, no cloud contours. It is absolutely abysmal. And if you look out on the water, the sky basically blends into the water, and you do not even see a difference. It's this big gray morass that ruins all kinds of emotional, physical, spiritual health. And we're told that, oh, it's just a partly sunny day. There is no sun to be seen. This was the coolest winter that I can remember because of all of this massive amount of geoengineering that I saw on Long Island. Well, suddenly we have a shutdown. All of that seemingly goes away. It's not, I shouldn't say it goes away completely because it doesn't. It's still here. Today in New York, we were completely inundated with geoengineering and chemtrails. I suspect they do that off the coast of Long Island, New Jersey, around there, and they wait for the winds to blow it on over so that we have completely whited out skies and the sun is effectively dimmed. Well, Vigilant Fox, one of the more interesting and accurate media organizations out there that you probably should pay attention to. They've released this story. Israeli U.S. geoengineering company Stardust to begin blocking the sun with chemtrails in April. Oh my goodness. Now, this was supposed to be some kind of conspiracy theory until the Trump administration waltzed in and we had Lee Zeldin of the EPA come out and say, well, there's definitely something up there. It's probably sulfur dioxide. And there really isn't a lot of oversight, so we have no effing clue about what's actually going on up there. Well, I can tell you, plenty of other people can tell you, something nefarious. Don't even try to tell me that, the only way to save the planet is to block the sun. To block the effing sun? That's your grand idea of saving the planet? Are you drunk? Anyway, Israeli U.S. engineering company, geoengineering, Stardust Solutions, has a $60 million fundraising round for its efforts to essentially commit a crime against humanity. Now, here's the real problem with all of this. They don't tell you what the particles are made of. We have hints. We may have indications of what direction to look in. Lee Zeldin, sulfur dioxide. 2 decades of people saying, what in the ever-living F are they spraying? And they've done air tests, air quality tests. You find out from this anecdotal evidence, right? Barium, strontium, aluminum, all of these disgusting metals. I mean, you can even go further down these roads where people are claiming it's graphene oxide or some other biochemical, potentially weapon of mass destruction. So now we've got this Israeli firm, and they're saying, well, we're not going to tell you. It's proprietary information. Oh, yes, that really makes me feel good here. And it says right here, what do we have? The powder wouldn't accumulate in humans or ecosystems and can't harm the ozone layer or create acid rain like sulfur-rich particles from volcanoes. Or, as Lee Zeldin said, sulfur-rich particles coming from airplanes with zero oversight regarding health. The startup will use money to begin controlled outdoor experiments. Oh, as soon as April, according to Politico. Those tests would release the company's reflective particles inside a modified plane flying at about 18 kilometers above sea level, or about 11 miles. So, do you understand how stupid all of this is? I mean, if these people are doing what we think they're doing, which is stratospheric injections, then there is no safe place on the planet Earth. Over the summer, I remember reading stories where if you look at the weather map, it's partly cloudy here, it looks sunny over there. But if you paid attention to social media, you would find out that everybody all across the United States was experiencing a cloudy day on the same day at the same time. That is not possible unless you are manipulating the weather. Now, why would you want to manipulate the weather? I mean, you can point in countless directions on why somebody would want to do something like that. I mean, you've got for the warfare reasons, you've got various other situations that you would want. You can starve populations. You can create growth in other areas. I mean, if you're manipulating the weather, you're also potentially manipulating the electromagnetic field out there on planet Earth. And you've got all of these technocratic megalomaniacs that believe they're doing God's work. And yes, we have to save the planet. And the only way to do it is to completely rewire the planet. And yet again, we've got this four-eyed feminine hygiene product, also known as Bill Gates. He was coming out And he said that climate change strategy is moving away from apocalyptic warnings toward a renewed push for massive investment in vaccine development. What? Huh? What are we talking about? He claims that the focus should be on saving lives rather than preventing suffering, with new vaccines initiatives and they're being aimed at people in some of the world's poorest and most vulnerable regions. So the argument here that you have to parse through, right, is that this whole argument about climate change had to do with the quote unquote third world, the underdeveloped nations on this planet. Essentially, they're claiming the global south, anything below the in the southern hemisphere, but below the equator, essentially. So the whole argument, if we're getting this correct, is to build those nations up. And instead of focusing on clean energy, instead of focusing on windmills and wind turbines and renewables like batteries and solar panels and all the rest, we're now going to be focusing on vaccines. If this doesn't convince you that the whole climate change argument, the man-made climate change argument, is complete and utter buffalo chips, I don't know what else will. Please explain to me the logical jump that you're saying that man-made climate change can now be stopped by giving poor people more vaccines in the global south. It doesn't work. And that's one of the reasons why nobody should ever pay attention to Bill Gates. The man doesn't even have a college degree. And yes, for some reason, he was the chief marketing officer during COVID with all these shots. So these people have no scruples. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They only care about making money and probably turning the screws on you to get as much money out of you as humanly possible. And the way to do that is to put you into these situations, these digital grids, these central banking digital currencies, these smart cities, smart grids, smart phones, smart toilets, the Internet of Things with 6G. That's the direction they want to take you. They want you to have a digital coupon. That's right. If you have digital currency, it ain't specie. It ain't gold or silver or aluminium if you're British. It is a digital coupon. Why do they want this all hooked up to blockchain? Because they want to be able to trace every single transaction that every single person does on the planet Earth or elsewhere. Because remember, earlier in the year, the Trump administration, they admitted that distance is antiquated. Quite the loaded statement, don't you agree? Distance between what? 2 points on Earth or 2 points anywhere in the potentially known or unknown universe or multiverse? Going back to all of this, they want people hooked up to a grid. At this point, we know it. If you don't believe me, I want you to fire up Google or whatever search engine that you use and look up C40.org. C40.org is Michael Bloomberg's, yes, former mayor of New York City, his little pet project to enlist major metropolises across the planet into this new renewable Green New Deal source of energy and way of governance in cities. Essentially, he wants everybody hooked up to a smart grid with digital IDs and central banking digital currencies to be monitored at all times with a social credit score and a carbon credit score. So if you don't do the right things, your credit and your digital coupons, they won't be able to be used beyond a certain distance from your registered address. Okay, do you understand how bad that is? To give you an example of how awful this could potentially be, this came out over a Telegram channel that I pay attention to. In China, bloggers are now required to confirm their knowledge with a diploma in order to talk about health, finance, or law. A large monetary fine and a lifetime account ban are imposed for the absence of relevant education. This means that if you do not have a diploma aligned to your digital ID that is correlated to the topic you want to post about on social media, this means that you are not an authority and you are committing fraud. This is the mindset that these people have. They want a digital ID. They want all of this in place because this allows for complete and utter control. Yes, it's all about control. They do not want you to have freedom of movement. They don't want you to be able to spend your money, particularly cash. They want to know exactly what you're doing at all times. And 6G could potentially hurl us into the Internet of Things and the Internet of Bodies, where they can monitor you in real time at all time. Think about what RFK Jr. said not so long ago. He wants every single American to have a wearable. Oh, does he? What is a wearable? Oh, I know, a Fitbit. Yes, a Fitbit. Oh, why would the government want me to have a Fitbit at all times? It's not about getting healthier. It's about monitoring your body. Yes, that's exactly what it is. So all of this in the background, we've seen, quote unquote, natural disasters and fires take place all across the United States over the past 2 years or so. We've got Asheville, we've got California, we've got Hawaii. And we have seen some extremely suspicious circumstances on why these places were destroyed. We've also seen various programs initiated in the background that makes us go, It appears as though that we've got new real estate initiatives, new societal initiatives like smart grids, smart cities, and all the rest, including affordable housing. Now, why would you want affordable housing in those areas? Well, let me tell you what's next. The United States has a hard-on to enact the Monroe Doctrine 2.0. Basically, they want complete and utter dominance in Central and South America, including the Caribbean. Now, back then, when the Monroe Doctrine was first introduced, it was basically an agreement or a doctrine between the United States and Europe. Europe said, well, Europe didn't say anything, but the United States said, guess what? Stay out of this hemisphere. And in exchange, the United States will not get involved in your hemisphere. It won't get involved in European politics or anything else like that. Well, that was the original agreement. That didn't happen. So now the United States is going to try to go after Venezuela. Now the United States is going to try to go after Colombia, right? If it was truly about drugs, the United States would have gone after Ecuador, in my humble opinion. Right? You don't have to take that seriously. But in my humble opinion, probably about Ecuador would be the right place to look for illicit drug trades. In my also brilliant opinion, I think that this whole idea of going after Venezuela and Colombia has to do more with regaining control of the drug trade that the United States potentially lost when China had so much influence with pumping fentanyl into the United States from South and Central America. So what this really looks like to me is that the United States is trying to regain the black market control of the illicit drug trade coming from Central and South America, right? That's what it seems to be. So in order to make this kind of operation occur in the Caribbean and South America, you probably need a relatively clear sky. You probably don't want a lot of storms. You don't want a lot of hurricanes in the area. So what do? You control the weather. And that's exactly what we've seen. Remember, all throughout September, early October, it's been the most barren hurricane season in memory. We haven't seen anything like this in a very, very long time. So what is going on here? The only thing that makes sense is that there is some kind of weather manipulation occurring. That's it. Now, what do we see in Jamaica? We've got Jamaica. Jamaica experiencing Hurricane Melissa, Category 5 hurricane. How is this possible? It's crazy. This is insane. This is insane. Listen, the only way to really make this happen is through weather manipulation. This thing is crawling along at a snail's pace across Jamaica. Now, why do I bring this up? There's something afoot, in my humble opinion. They want some additional source of rare earth materials, raw materials. Jamaica is right there. Colombia has potentially the largest oil reserves on the planet. We find out that they also have a substantial amount of potentially untapped rare earth materials as well. This fits in very, very, very well with Donald Trump's Monroe Doctrine. Remember, he wants to buy Greenland. Why would he want to buy Greenland unless there was something in there that he particularly wanted besides the United States bases underneath the ice? There is something there. Oh, I know what it is. It's raw materials. It's raw, rare earth materials. Jamaica. What do we see in Jamaica? Got this hurricane. They're evacuating people. Unprecedented weather. Never saw it before in anybody's life. Yet what do we find? What do we find here? We find that there is something. And it goes back to 2009. And that, my friends, is called Vision 2030, Jamaica. Now, what is Vision 2030 Jamaica? Now, it is a policy, it's a plan, it's an outline to essentially update Jamaica from its doldrums to a modern country by 2030. Remember this, everybody, every country, the United Nations, everybody has this 2030 deadline. For some reason, we're hell-bent on creating this smart grid by 2030. Nobody knows why. But yet, we've got to do it, and we only have a few years to do so. So the Jamaican plan, Vision 2030, Jamaica, ain't all that different. They want a healthy and stable population, right? Apparently HIV and AIDS and all of that kind of thing, right? It ain't working out for them. World-class education and training. Effective social protection, authentic and transformational culture, right? So what does this sound like to you? This sounds like the stereotypical version of pillaging an area, right? They want a subjugated population in Jamaica. They want foreign investments. They do not care about the local cultures. They see that there is money to be made. Moving along, they want a stable macroeconomy. My goodness, who doesn't? An enable business environment. Oh, my goodness. Streamlined bureaucracy, labor reforms, trade promotions, investment incentives. They're selling out the country with this plan. Strong economic infrastructure, expanding transports and utilities through Highway 2000, port expansions, logistics hubs, and so on. Energy security and efficiency. Oh my goodness, here we go. Alternatives to oil, gas, coal. I'm going to give you a sidebar here. I visited Grand Cayman not so long ago, and we were talking to some of the locals, and they told us that Grand Cayman, an island in the Caribbean just south of Cuba, entered into an energy contract that forced the whole island to run on diesel for the next 25 years. I thought we needed to get away from fossil fuels. I thought there was not enough in there. We're going to drown. Why are they building all of this new property? Why are insurance carriers allowing these businesses to insure their high rises 20 feet from the coastline if the world is going to be inundated with water? Another reason why it's all BS, by the way. So this idea of removing oil, gas, and coal, or trying to reduce the usage, is another way to clamp down. They want a centralized energy distribution system. Now, why would they want that? Specifically, if you're using electric vehicles and you've got a smartphone and a smart home and all the rest. Because if it is centralized, that means that they can say, well, the hours of 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., there is a lot of energy usage, people coming home, people cooking, people pinching off a loaf. And so you're not able to wash your clothes because water is being used to boil water and wash dishes and flush toilets. So you can't wash your clothes during that time. It just won't work. Or you can only watch TV until 10:30 p.m. because we need electricity to in some other fashion somewhere else. It's a centralized system. And God forbid you don't have a good enough social credit score, then you're really up the creek. Then they want sustainable management and use of environmental and natural resources. Yes. Okay. Whenever you see that kind of thing, immediately assume that they want the resources and they do not want the local population to access them. They don't want the local population to actually have any kind of economy. So that's why they want all of these resources, right? And they're going to sell out to the highest buyer from the international markets. Then we go over, you think I'm joking about this smart city stuff. Then we go over to an article that occurred earlier in the year from the Jamaica Observer, envisioning a smart city. Yes, January 2025. This was written by Horatio Deer, and you can email him there if you'd really like. But he is wholeheartedly endorsing this idea that Jamaica needs to be completely rebuilt with smart cities. And they attended the Jamaica Smart City Forum in September of 2023, right? So the Vision 2030 Jamaica study from 2009 is moving along quite nicely now if we've now put smart cities into the social spectrum here. The whole document, by the way, of Vision 2030 Jamaica is probably about 1,000 pages. You can go look it up. I tried to skim through it, right? But I can't sit here and muddle through 1,000 pages worth of studies and initiatives. So I had to give you a Reader's Digest version. Very, very old reference, by the way, if anyone knows what Reader's Digest is. So anyway, moving along. Horatio over here is saying that we've got a major problem because if you're going to do a smart city and a smart grid and all the rest, then we've got to worry about cyber attacks. And he says here the proliferation of Internet of Things devices ushers in both convenience and vulnerability. How many times have we heard this before? Oh, yes. We want you to hook yourself up to the Internet of Things because it's so easy. You don't have to carry around a wallet. You can just scan your retina. The interconnected web magnifies risks. Oh, yes, exactly. The dream of smart cities beckons. A shimmering horizon of potential. No, you effing idiot. It's not a shimmering horizon of potential, Horatio. It is a dusty relic of the past to put people back on the plantation with a digital control grid, you mouth-breathing moron. Idiots. Idiot. I don't know Horatio from a hole in the wall, but I can tell his opinion is dog shit. Then we move along. We've got this. We've got the Milk River Smart City Initiative. It is a bunch of individuals from Korea. They are all about making Jamaica into a fantastic new area to live in. And you think, my goodness, this just sounds fantastic. They're going to use a whole bunch of cash to dump into Jamaica, and we're going to have this new little resort town. It's actually not a resort town. It's supposed to be a business hub, right? In Clarendon, over there in Jamaica, a couple of acres long, a couple of acres large. I think it's like 60 acres, or no, 2,100 acres. Excuse me. They want to further this project along for 31,000 acres over the next 20 years. Now, doesn't this sound lovely? They're going to have commercial, retail, light manufacturing space, renewable energy. Oh, gosh, a dream. A technocratic wet dream. I can't wait to read more about it. And then you get to this. And this is how you know They do not want native Jamaicans to have any part of this. The affordable homes start at $235,000 US, with the potential to increase prices on a weekly basis. On a weekly basis, the first 800 units are mid-tier homes providing an average range of $300,000 to $500,000 in cost. Luxury units will start at $1.5 million US. These people, they want smart grids to control the population, yet they want all of the territory for themselves. They want luxury, and they do not want the rabble. Now, this just isn't honing in on Jamaica. This could be any place that you want. You've got a power elite that thinks that, well, strap hangers like you and me, they don't like exactly how we live our lives. From September 2023, Jamaica Information Service Smart City Project, a testament to innovation and progress, Dr. Morris Dixon. Thank goodness for this. Idiocy. These people don't understand the predicament that they're in, right? It goes further. They can read, or you can read through all this article. I'm only supposed to be here for 30 minutes, but here I am hovering around 32. They want to design the highlights and benefits of a smart city using technology in a sustainable way while enhancing quality of life of its citizens. Doesn't sound like it if apartments start at $1.5 million US. This includes improved safety, public Wi-Fi, traffic management, urban planning, and environment monitors. Oh, what are environment monitors? Certainly sounds like a carbon credit score to me. You flush too many times. You got to eat more roughage. You're wasting your carbon credits for the day. The utility company has been awarded the JPS Smart City Demonstration Project of New Kingston, a grant by the U.S. Trade and Development Agency for technical assistance to identify and deploy cutting-edge technology and business solutions. Oh, yes, my goodness. They want to improve water conditions and so on and so forth. Now, why am I going through all of this? It's not to kill time. It's to prove a point. It's because these initiatives always come as a double-edged sword. It is something that they claim will be convenient, but the bankers will love. The bankers want to be able to track everything that you do. Jamaica is also modernizing its energy infrastructure through smart grid initiatives to integrate in renewables, improve efficiency. Oh, my goodness, thank God. $100 million in U.S. financing from IDB Invest and CIBC Caribbean will be funding smart meters. There's that centralized energy grid, transmission upgrades, digital transformation, energy storage, and EV infrastructures, including, you'll love this. 17 new charging stations. 17 charging stations. What do you think that's going to do for anybody? Nothing. This is grift. Absolute grift. Jamaica's goal is 50% renewable energy by 2030. Big deal. And finally, this is where I really want to hone in on why they could potentially be manipulating the weather to destroy Jamaican infrastructure, to wipe out the current situation in all of these towns, and to really start to displace people so that they can finally move in, not unlike what you see in Gaza, and completely rebuild Jamaica so that its resources could be exploited. And this is what it is. Jamaica's primary initiative is the National Identification System, otherwise known as NIDS. Trust me, as a broadcast professional, I had to look twice at that. It's one consonant away from total disaster and censorship with NIDS. Managed by the National ID and Registration Authority, it started to roll out in 2024, provides a lifelong national ID number, matching your tax registration number, along with a secure digital ID card using biometrics with fingerprints and facial images and retinal scans. It also includes advanced security, like color-changing elements. Oh, my goodness. Inclusivity for disabilities. Ah, yes. My goodness. And it is multi-purpose. You can vote with it. You can use healthcare facilities. You can finance your homes and reduce identity theft. Does anybody believe this? Anybody? And then they're going to hook it up to your driver's license and any other legal issues you may have had. So once again, we get this situation. We've got a massive, massive hurricane. Massive hurricane going over there. Why would they be doing this? I just told you why. This is another experiment. They want a digital grid across the planet. And they're going to do it by hook or crook. And this is just one of those next steps that we are going to watch. Now, I'm telling you, they're probably manipulating this weather. Nothing else makes sense. This isn't climate change. Well, it is climate change. It's man-made climate change, but not in the way you think. It's not because you fired up your Toyota and drove down to 7-Eleven to pick up a pack of cigarettes and some rubbers. It's through weather manipulation on a massive scale. They're going to do this. They're going to continue to do this. And it's coming down to us, lovable, brilliant fuzzballs, to call this garbage out. Because we know that they're going to do a massive land grab in Jamaica and start instilling this kind of dystopian style, quote unquote, smart city, digital control grid. And if you think you've got a problem with human rights now, just you wait. Just you wait. If these people get what they truly desire with blockchain, digital IDs, smart grids, centralized energy systems, we don't have a leg to stand on. And I'll leave you with this. Why are they doing this? One, they don't like us. But two, there's only enough energy in the system for human beings or artificial intelligence. And guess what? They did not choose human beings. They chose artificial intelligence. That's where the power elite thinks the future, or I should say it this way, their future, their version of humanity lies. It's not with us anymore. But it is up to us to remember our divinity and tell these people that we still are human beings and we will not stand for this kind of awful sci-fi flick. Of all things, you're going to choose AI and Terminator. I mean, or zombies. I mean, it's just awful, awful sci-fi plot lines. And here we are having to endure it. All right, that's going to be enough. I did 38 minutes, 39 minutes. Interview Thursdays. If you're tuning in for the first time, Greg Bolden and we generally do interviews on Thursday nights. We have people like Dr. Joseph Farrell. We've got many, many other people in store. Dr. Joseph Farrell is a brilliant, brilliant mind. He's coming up later on this month. So Thursdays, generally, we have interviews. We go live. It's always a fun time. So tune in there. If you want more of me, you can go over to Spotify. See Michael's show on X. On Spotify, I am the Chris Michaels show or Chris Michaels show. I am obliterated with visibility. So good luck actually finding me there after I stop the live stream. But you can find, and share, like I said, on Spotify, the Chris Michaels Show on XC Michaels Show. Do not forget to find, and share. As always, I will see you next